Well, hello and welcome to this week's Coffee Club. Myself, Robert Grieve, with me as ever, Bill Leckie. We're gearing up for a midweek of big Scottish football games in the Premiership tonight. I'm off to Pittodrie later on for Aberdeen against Celtic. You know, you've not got a game this week, have you?
I've not got a game, but I tell you what I wanted to do before. Sorry, I know you don't
touch me.
Don't let touch stuff to you. Before we get into the games themselves, I was fascinated this morning by Philippe Clement's pre-match press conference.
Right, why?
Well,
he's referenced to...
Well, I in our lifetime, it's a long time since I can remember either side of the old firm referencing the other one as a yardstick for what they're trying to do.
He didn't mention anyone.
No, but, okay. He mentioned a team on the opposite side of the city.
He was trying to be careful.
Yeah, and he mentioned a player who 6 months ago couldn't get a game and wasn't fitting in, and that's what the Rangers fans need to give his players time to do. Now, he's talking about Nicolas Kuhn, I would imagine. He's talking about Celtic, I would imagine.
Yeah.
When he mentions the manager of the team who is on the opposite side, I think he's talking about Brendan Rodgers, right? And I found it fascinating that from his viewpoint, logically, he's a very logical, pragmatic guy. He says, look, I need time for my players to settle in. Look at this other team here and look at what they've had to, this time last year, because he mentioned that the manager of this team, who he didn't mention, was saying that this time last year they've been booed off after winning.
Yeah,
and he's saying, so maybe this time next year, if you give me time, I'll be where that other team are now. Now, logically, I think that is a comment worth making. I wonder how the Rangers fans will take that, Robert.
Yeah, take your point. It's very, very unusual to hear a Rangers or a Celtic manager or anyone, even players at either club, referencing the other club. Now, the fact that he didn't actually name them, I'm kind of joking about it, but probably won't make a whole lot of difference to Rangers fans who are looking at this and saying, why are you even talking about them? Which, yeah, I can understand. But is it...
I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, but also, he's not wrong, obviously. His comments were pretty accurate, but is there anything that wrong with it?
No, I don't.
You're saying you're surprised.
I'm surprised by it.
But is it that bad?
I don't think it's bad at all. Listen, you and I exist outside the bubble of Rangers and Celtic, right? And so you and I would say, well, that's quite a reasonable thing to say. For a lot of people within the bubble of Rangers and Celtic,
they'll be annoyed by it.
They'll be on one side very annoyed by it, and on the other side laughing up their sleeves at it. You know, and I just think it's the kind of thing that we've talked previously on here about Philippe Clement's take on the situation at Rangers and how it doesn't really chime with the feelings of the groundswell of Rangers fans. Yeah. And I think this is just another statement that's going to make people say, what is this man talking about?
Yeah.
You know?
I think I've said this before, I do wonder if before press conferences, whether it's pre-match press conferences or post-match press conferences, that he asks for the opinion of someone that he trusts and knows to say, listen, I'm going, because that's a premeditated, I'm going to say this thing, right? So does he actually run that past someone and say, I'm going to chuck this out, what do you think? Because I think if he was to speak to anyone behind the scenes there with an understanding of how
they would say,
they would maybe say,
put your foot in the ball, Philippe.
Maybe.
Well, it was interesting because
but at the same time as I say that, I don't think it's that bad.
No, I don't think it's bad at all. It's like the Arnie Slot thing where they made the joke about Mo Salah and say, well, that's the last time he'll play against Manchester City, ha ha ha, and then people take him seriously.
And no, but Philippe Clement was being serious.
Yeah, no, but
it was a point he was making, which is a fairly valid point.
But it's very difficult now, I think, for managers and for players, because a lot of players have had any character in interviews coached out of them, and they go it's going to be a tough game, whatever you say to them. I like the fact that Philippe Clement's prepared to say what he thinks. I know it's a strange thing to say that I like he's saying it, but I'm very surprised that he has said it, because I think it'll get some backs up.
I probably agree with that, but I like Philippe Clement.
Yeah, me also.
For having the
cojones
to say what he thinks. I don't always agree with it, especially the way he sees games and the things that how he analyses games. I don't often agree with him, and I can see why Rangers fans are kind of rubbed up the wrong way by it. But I'm never going to criticise anyone, player or manager, for saying what they think. We're journalists; that's our job to
get a line,
elicit these
Absolutely.
Line,
so please keep saying things.
So power to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can understand. I take your point, but I don't think it's that bad.
On a footballing.
Have you ever known it before? I can't. When you mention that, I can't really.
No,
Usually hear.
Do you know about
Celtic AGMs when they
have a bit of
Rangers is always
banter. There's a book that I have, a sort of history of the first 100 years of Scottish football.
I thought you were going to mention one of your books.
No, what am I? No, you don't need that. This is a proper book that sold loads of copies. And there is a thing about in 67 time when Celtic won the European Cup and Rangers got to the Cup Winners' Cup final and lost in the final. And I think it's John Lawrence, the Rangers chairman at the time, described Celtic as the yardstick for success in Scottish football. And there was an uproar at the time. And that's the only other time I can remember. And even I can't remember that, you know what I mean? But it's only...
You can remember it, but you can't remember it.
You know what I mean? I know of it. I was a child. But it's the only other time in history that something as overt as that, but look at them across there, they're the ones we need to be looking at.
There must be other examples, I just can't
I'm
think
sure there
off
might
the
be.
top of my head.
But that one, but it's so rare that it jumps out,
It does
isn't
strike you that if you ever ask a Rangers player or manager
what about Celtic?
About we're not here, and vice versa.
And vice versa.
Which is, but no, I keep saying it was interesting to never actually mention them by name.
No, that was
if I don't mention them by name,
nobody will know who I'm talking
about. So if you're going to do it, you might as well mention it by name. But anyway,
his big job tonight would be to beat Kilmarnock down the road from where we are just now.
And off the boil a wee bit, haven't they? They're kind of
Kelly.
Yeah.
Still a very difficult team to play against. The interesting thing for me, we obviously previewed the Rangers game in Nice, and they went across to Nice and won 4-1. Had a fantastic result against a team who I have to say were miles off what they can do, but still great result, really good performance. And the question was then, could they come back and produce that kind of form at Perth? And the answer was no.
No.
So
no, they did. It was very poor. I wasn't at that game. I watched it though, but
yeah, me too.
But you weren't surprised by that.
No, not
that's the thing. In all honesty, Rangers go and these were really dire. In all honesty, but Rangers were terrific on the night. They'd got the job done. They could have scored a barrel load more, but it was completely unsurprising that they go to Kilbride Park and
they struggle. I don't know what you think it is. I think there's 2 points. One is in Europe, pressure's off in as much as they're not expected to win. They're hoping to win. But the other thing is in Europe, quite often, he's allowing them to sit off the game, let the other team have the ball, and then counter-attack on them quickly. And he can't get away with playing that football in Scotland. He won't get away with it. The fans won't have that, will they?
No, absolutely not.
And yet that's what they're good at.
Yeah, but at the same time, with the greatest respect, Rangers, with the money that they have spent and the budget and everything that goes with what they're about, should be going to St Johnstone.
Well, Celtic went there and won 6-0.
Yeah,
or a team across the other side of the city.
It's not even the result. Obviously, they need the result.
But it's the performance, isn't it?
People will say the results are be all and end all, which it kind of is at this stage of the season. But in the way it's going for Rangers, but at the same time, Rangers fans want a performance. They want to see they want to see their team playing well.
And a 1-0 with an own goal.
And it's been a while domestically since they've been able to say they've enjoyed watching their team.
Yeah.
I
think that's what was that 4 goals away from home, 2 wins away from home.
The least really poor goal scoring record in the league. But anyway, tough game from tonight. Albeit I'm saying Kelly are up and down it seems, but Dermot McInnes will have them well organised tonight. They'll put a shift in, and if Rangers aren't at it, they'll toil. And
it might be another one of these games where Rangers come away with the win, but without anybody really being very happy about it.
Yeah, I think Philippe Clement probably would take that right now.
Yeah,
he feels as though, I don't want to keep going over about it, but he feels as though he's on the kind of cusp of kind of back-to-back defeats. I think, and he's in bother. But the League Cup final could be the
catalyst, turning point,
or the end.
Yes. There's not really much a grey area. You're about to head up to Aberdeen for Aberdeen against Celtic.
I'm going to get Choo very shortly. Look forward to it. I think it'll be a cracking game.
Yeah, a good game. I
think Celtic turn up, they'll make it extremely difficult for Aberdeen. The way they played in the cup game at Hampden, was that last month?
Yeah.
They were devastating. So and Aberdeen have gone off the boil a little bit.
Well, this is huge for Aberdeen tonight, Robert, because it's 3 draws in the last week where I don't think in any of the games they played particularly poorly. They just maybe have lost a wee bit of that, and I don't think anybody expected them to keep that express train kind of mentality going. But after 3 draws in a row, they drop off. If they were to lose tonight, I'm not going to say the league's over, but the league's over.
Yeah, but are we realistically expect them to sustain their challenge.
No, but you look,
but
they'll be looking to sustain their challenge for second place, and that's the important thing. That's the reality for them.
That's a point.
And that's possible. That's very possible if they get back on the rails. So I think they need tonight to put in a performance that of the level, whether they win or lose or draw, it's the performance back up where Jimmy Tellin had them a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Do you, as things stand, if there's no change at Rangers, January, I can't see Rangers doing too much in terms of signings, do you think Aberdeen will finish second, as things stand?
I think Aberdeen right now are a better team than Rangers.
Yeah.
I think the pressure of doing it over a season when Rangers have far more experience of, the sort of course and distance, makes it more difficult for Aberdeen, but I think they are a better team right now than Rangers.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's a big night for them.
Massive night.
Really looking forward to it, up to the game, as I say, heading there shortly.
I will watch it in front of the fire.
It's going to be cold, isn't it?
I'm going to be, by the way, I was at East Kilbride Falcon on Monday night. Oh. That was cold. That was proper cold.
What was the press box like?
There isn't one. You're in the wee main stand.
I bet they welcomed you royally though.
No. I was told I wasn't getting in.
Oh, right, okay.
I was told I wasn't getting in.
That just you, did everybody else get in?
No, wait till you hear this. I was told when I get in, I'm sorry, your name's not down the list. We had a ballot and your paper didn't come out of the ballot. And I went, and I turned around to walk. I said, fine, if you don't want the sun in, that's fine, I'll go away. And somebody else came in and said, no, don't be silly. Silly misunderstanding, we'll sort it out. When I went in, we were the only national paper who had actually sent a reporter to the game. So who else was in the ballot? I don't know. Anyway,
Did they not think you'd tell anyone this before you actually turned up for the game?
Long story, doesn't matter. It'll all get sorted, as we say. Silly misunderstanding. Smashing game of football. East Kilbride play football really well. Mick Kennedy, manager, great guy. Little row of seats at the back of, there's 3-4 rows in the wee stand, and it's the little plastic seats with no back. And I'm an old man, so by the time I came out, I was.
What did you know?
Oh, $1 million.
A million. You've been in worse places. That's
I've been in worse. But no, smashing game. Smashing. By the way, I love to see two teams who want to play football. East Kilbride maybe play a wee bit too much sometimes at the back, but two teams that want to play the game right. It was a cracking cup tie.
It was. I watched the game. I thought Falkirk were really good.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're a really good team.
I think they're going to come up, and I think they're going to be well worth it.
Yeah.
But East Kilbride seemed to they had nothing in final third. They played some good stuff. Really enjoyable to watch.
And I think they'll come. I think they'll come up as well. I think they'll be in League Two. They should have come up. I think they were gutted that they didn't beat Stranraer in the playoff at the end of last season, but I think they'll come up this year. Yeah, it was a shame when they scored that they couldn't get another wee chance before they conceded again. But no, good. I'm glad you were cold. It was very. So we should be. So we should be. But it's not meant to be a comfortable job.
Is it not?
No.
I like comfortable.
I know.
Anyway, so I'm up to Pittodrie later on for the best coverage of that you can see online later on and in the paper from here on in. What else are we going to talk about? I was going to ask about Celtic.
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers, I mean, we touched on the rise of Nicolas Kuhn. He's been fantastic this season, but I was really impressed with Luke McCowan against who was it in the weekend there?
Ross County.
5-0
half-time final, 5-0 full time. Luke McCowan's a terrific footballer, Robert.
He's clearly just grasping the whole thing.
Yeah,
that's what I love about it, you know.
He gets it. Now he got it. He's all the way through his career where he's been here, United, Dundee. He has got where he is. He's got the situation. He's worked his socks off to get where he is, and his intelligence for football is at a really high level. And I have to say, when he was leaving Dundee, Hibs were looking at him. And I read a lot of stuff from Hibs fans, so I don't pay a lot of attention to social media stuff, but there was a lot of stuff about how he was just a greedy guy and how he had no ambition, he was just going there to take the free tickets for Champions League games. Luke McCowan's proven so many people wrong that he belongs where he is.
Yep.
For me, if Brendan Rodgers chose to put him in as a first pick midfielder, he would not be out of place.
Absolutely. Brendan Rodgers actually mentioned that yesterday. We were speaking to him at the press conference at Lennoxtown. And that's actually what he said. He's one of us now. He's not someone on the outside looking in. He's come in. He's embraced it. I just love his attitude. You know, he's not going to play every week. He realises he's not going to play every week. Celtic have got so much quality in midfield that he's going to be in and out of the team, in and out of the squad probably. But and I mentioned this to Brendan Rodgers yesterday. The game finished. He was named man of the match. He'd been substituted 10 minutes before the end, and final whistle goes and he's got the coat on and they kind of walk onto the pitch to do their kind of lap of honour thing, and Brendan Rodgers kind of embraced him, kind of gave him a pat in the back, and he was asking him, he was asking for little instruction. The game had finished, and he was clearly saying,
what could I have done?
When I go there, could I have done this better? And I thought it was great, you know. I said this to Brendan Rodgers yesterday, and he absolutely, he's going to love that, you know. The kids, I say kid, he's not a kid, but he's clearly trying to soak everything in.
There was a moment in the second half, Robert.
Celtic.
I know the second half kind of dissipated a little bit with them 5-0 up, but there was a bit in the second half where he was floating about in the kind of the old-fashioned inside right area.
Showing your age.
Absolutely, and there's nothing really happening, and he peels off about another 10 yards out wider, and a guy goes with him, and suddenly he leaves a big hole for another player. And I think there's the intelligence to know it's not just at a club like Celtic what they're trying to do. It's not just when you've got the ball, it's what you're going to do when you don't have the ball. And that knowledge of where to be when you don't have the ball, I think you can't, it's very hard to teach that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Smashing player.
It's good, and he was asked about it as well. Rodgers about the Scotland potential. You know, it's got to be if he can play a regular-ish amount of games for Celtic.
Well, why not?
I think the boy's got a chance to get into the Scotland squad, because
I think
he's got the technical ability, the speed of thought. I think that you need
and he's
to play
the type.
national football.
He's also, if you talk about Steve Clarke liking the right type of player who wants to be about the place, he's absolutely the right type. Another thing about, we mentioned last week on here, Robert, about, you know, even if Celtic were looking ahead to the Aberdeen game, even if Celtic got that far ahead in the league, and even if they won the cup, could they then take a little bit of a rest? And we both agreed no, they just can't do that. And Brendan Rodgers, I think yesterday, talked about that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. They're trying to get better. They're not going to be resting in any laurels. They're looking. He spoke about not being. He said didn't want to say complacent, but it's contentment. He doesn't want anyone to be content at Celtic, whether that's in the boardroom or in the dressing room, and I think that has to be the attitude. That has to be the attitude, the mentality. And if Celtic actually get better in January in terms of signings, then it's kind of pretty daunting for the rest of the teams in Scotland, but it's on the Premiership. So anyway, time will tell on that one. We'll touch. Hibs got a good. We were thinking David Gray was dead man walking.
I was delighted for him on Saturday.
You were there, weren't you?
I was really pleased for him.
3-0 against Motherwell.
Now I have to say, if we think Nice were bad against Rangers, if you're a Motherwell fan out there and you were there, I'm sure you won't disagree.
We know one Motherwell fan, I bet he was really grumpy.
Well, I know several Motherwell fans and they're all really grumpy all the time. But the one we're thinking about now, if he was there, which I'm sure he was, would have been absolute. Now, he'd have been torn between walking out and staying so he could boo them at the end. and a lot of fans they were dreadful. However, Hibs had a goalkeeper in Jordan Smith who caught everything, a back four who cleared everything, a midfield who won things and didn't get sent off, and a front three who caused havoc all day. Now, that's the basics. Yeah. But if Hibs can do that every week, there's no way they'll be in danger.
Yeah.
And yet, how many times this season have they been a goal up? In fact, this was the 6th time in the last 7 games they had been ahead in a game, and the first time they've won.
Yeah. Well,
and they needed that badly.
Yeah, and leapfrogged, I think, Hearts. So
yes,
they took them above them, didn't they?
Yes.
They're well, on the paper, they're certainly struggling.
Well, it's a decent draw for them against Aberdeen on Sunday, but they need to put some wins together very soon.
Absolutely. Time will tell on that one is over with everything else. I watched the Scotland's national team women's game last night. Really disappointing.
Very, very disappointing.
I thought they were going to do it. I just had a feeling they were going to actually turn up and get a performance, because I think Finland beneath them in the rankings, and they didn't play well last week in the first leg, but the conditions weren't great. The goals they conceded were really poor. It was just disappointing. Unfortunately,
it's been kind of par for the course lately, Robert. I've been very disappointed.
You watch more than I do.
And I think
should we be expecting more from them?
Yeah, I think with the players we have, you know, and Caroline Weir especially. I mean, in the women's game, she's world class. She's a fantastic footballer. Real Madrid. I mean, she's fantastic. And I know she's come back from an injury, etc. But to have that kind of player in your team is tremendous. Erin Cuthbert was some really good players. However, we have consistently punched below our weight in the women's game in the last, not just in this campaign, but the last few years. I went to cover the World Cup in 2019 in France, where we did a very Scotlandy thing of throwing it away when it looked as if qualification was in our hands. And since then, I don't feel as if we've really kicked on the way we should have. There's a lot of investment in the game, there's a lot of TV coverage, there's a lot of publicity for the game, and we have some very good players, but somewhere along the line something's not right, and I don't quite know what it is, and I'm reasonably sure, rightly or wrongly, I think Pedro Martinez-Losa will probably move on.
Well, he spoke after the game. I saw some footage last night, and he's very kind of confident. He seemed pretty confident that he's going to be there. He's kind of, I've got a contract. I'm invested in the players. I'm invested with the staff and everything. And he seemed quite kind of bullish that he was going to be all right. Should he be under threat? Is that?
Well, it feels to me as if, and I'm not immersed in the whole thing, but from what I know, from what I see, from what I watch, I don't think he's getting the right tune out of the players that we have.
Yeah, that's on him though.
Yeah, well, a lot of it. Well, players have got to take responsibility. It's like talking to Motherwell on Saturday. Stuart Kettlewell comes in straight away and says, "I take all the responsibility for this result." You say, well, eventually players have to take responsibility as well. So again, I don't know what the mood is in there. I don't know how the players feel, but it does seem as if in the qualifying group we had and into the playoffs, we should have been in these finals. And I think we've let a big opportunity go.
Yeah, it's just disappointing.
And it's a shame.
Disappointing, absolutely. So we'll see what happens with that one, whether he does pay the price and maybe he'll go down a different road or whatever. But yeah, a shame.
However, let's look at somebody who has won something.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this in. Well done to our man, Mimo.
From Bella Vita.
Who is restaurant of the
Trattoria of the year at the
here at Bella Vita, absolutely brilliant.
At the Italian Food Awards. As you can see, they're good to us every week. Cakes are here again.
Marco and the team, absolutely fantastic. If you're wanting a dinner or a lunch over the Christmas festive period, get yourself down here. And you'll get the best there is. Right, talk us through these cakes before we head off.
We have, as ever,
the choo-choo train.
You're going to take these in the train, mate?
Indeed.
The wee pistachio cannoli, little kind of rocky roads, some, come on, Robert.
Sorry.
We have some lovely carrot cake, ginger cake. It is just a beautiful selection, and I think you're going to destroy these before you get to Lindsay.
I'm going to, maybe a cake for every station.
That's a good idea. A cake for every 1 hour's delay on the way up the road.
Don't. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Have a great night.
Have a great night up in Aberdeen. Always enjoy going up there. That's us for Coffee Club this week. Thanks as ever for joining myself, Robert Grieve, Bill Leckie. We'll be here again next week. We'll talk through the games and see where we're at and see if I'm back from Aberdeen in time for next week. Thanks for that.